Hello everyone, this is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com and also from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. That's the other company I know and most known for in the automotive industry when it comes to writing service. Welcome back to my podcast entitled Write Service, Write Your Own Paycheck. How to make $100,000 a year writing service in the United States of America and or Canada. And yes, I said $100,000. You say, no way, I've been doing this job for a number of years and I've never made that much. Well, 20% of the people doing the job right now are doing it, and I am going to show you how to do it too. Now, we've had a whole series of podcasts here over the last couple of months and whatever. And by the way, thank you very much for the audience. The audience is growing and growing and growing and growing. And I've been getting a lot of emails, getting a lot of telephone calls and texts and stuff, and people are saying, hey, look, why don't you give us some closes? Why don't we just keep this one simple, and why don't you give us some closes that work on any service drive? And so if that's what you want to do, we can do that. But first, I have to tell you this. The texts and emails I've been getting from people is that you're not getting your fair share of closes, you don't feel you know the right ones, and on and on and on. Closing is actually the easiest part of any sale. I mean, really, think about it. I think you know, there's almost too much attention given to this area of the sale because it's the easiest part. I mean, think about it. If a customer comes in and they've got a need, okay, or you're talking to the customer for more than a minute, then they're interested. They've got a need, okay, and you've got the way to answer that need. They've got the resources to buy and solve that need, and you've got the product and everything else. Why wouldn't they want to buy it? I mean, closing the sale is the easiest part of it. But I also want to tell you this. It's not just knowing a few good closes, it's knowing a whole bunch of closes. Zig Ziglar, my favorite author and writer of all time, said before you ever step in front of a customer with your commission on the line, you should know at least 100 different ways to ask for the money. Tom Hopkins, who wrote one of the biggest and all-time selling books in the history of sales and professional sales, over 25 million copies of this book in print called How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. In that book, he says you should know at least 50 ways to ask for the money before you ever step in front of a customer. And then once you learn those 50 ways, you can say it frontwards, backwards, and the whole thing. Then add another 2 or 3 closes to your arsenal every 2 or 3 days until you have a few hundred ways to ask for the money. Now, what's the big deal with knowing so many different closes? Well, it's real easy. If you only know a few closes, you're only going to be that effective. You're only going to be very, very effective. But if you know hundreds of closes, you're going to reach that many more people and you'll be that more successful, because what you're going to find with closing is a couple things. One, simplicity is always best, and 2, closes should be used based on a customer's personality and the situation that you're in with that customer. But I'm going to give you 4 closes that will work on any service drive, whether it's a dealership, an independent, a chain store, or by any other description. Here's four closes that are very basic and they work on any drive. The first one is my favorite close of all time. No matter what product it is I've ever represented, especially when it comes to writing service, this first one I'm going to give you is my absolute favorite. It's the easiest one, and it gets the job done well over 80% of the time, and it's called the assumptive close. Now, the assumptive close is just simply that. It's where the closer, the service advisor in this case, the closer simply assumes the customer is going to buy after they make their presentation. And after all, why wouldn't the customer want to buy if you presented what the customer actually needed and wants, right? So it sounds something like this. So, Mr. Customer, now we've talked about what you need and how you need it and why you need it and the benefits it's going to provide to you. I'm going to go ahead and add it to repair order. That way you won't have to worry about it when you leave here today. It'll all be taken care of. And then you just start writing or you start typing. And if they don't stop you, they've bought. And here's the magic about this close. Most of the time, they will not stop you. Again, Mr. Customer, now we've discussed what it is you need and why you need it and the benefits of the product. I'm going to go ahead and just add it to the reporter. That way when you leave here today, you won't have to worry about this concern anymore. It will be taken care of, and start writing or typing. If they don't stop you, they have bought. The assumptive close, I love it, extremely effective, and it will deliver a closing ratio well over 80%. And it can be used in most instances with most customers and personalities in most situations. Now, another one of my favorite closes, I'm going to give you 4 here today. Another one of my favorite closes is called the Are You Sure? Now, a lot of times when it comes to sales training, I've noticed that a lot of people like to take word tracks, they like to take closes, and they like to put it in their own words. But this is one that I recommend you use exactly the way it's written, simply because it will not work if you don't. Now, this is typically used as a second close, meaning that you've asked for the money, the customer has said no, that would be the time to use the are you sure close. So here it goes. You ask, they say no, here's the closed. Are you sure? You see, that's why you can't really change the words. That's the whole close. Are you sure? Now, this is extremely effective and typically gets, people that tell you no the first time, typically gets well over half of them to turn around on a dime. Why? Because it makes it sound like it's something that's really, you're surprised by it. It makes it sound like it's really something important. It makes it sound like it's something that they're dumb not to do. It makes them question themselves, and at the very least, it's going to get them to tell you why they said no. Are you sure? Now, when it comes to closing, notice that I use a little bit of feeling. I use a little bit of empathy. I use my voice. I just don't say, are you sure? Yeah, Jeff, I'm sure. I mean, I just said no. How many ways you want me to do it? Want me to spell it for you? N-O, no. Are you sure? No, you have to, are you sure? And if you want to throw in Mr. Customer, you can. Are you sure, Mr. Customer? Again, it gets them to second guess themselves. It gets them to think about what it is they're saying no, and gets them to realize that no is not really a very good answer, and well over 50% of the time they will turn on a dime. Now, I've got two more closes. Before I give you those, I have to tell you about my sponsor. It's called Lightspeed VT. They're out of Nevada, over in Las Vegas. Now, if you've not heard of these people yet, shame on you, because every great salesperson, every great sales organization, and every great trainer has. If you're a business owner or you're a manager and you've got all this training you've collected over the years, whether you've written it yourself or if you've bought it or whatever, no matter what you have, you call Lightspeed VT, and what they're going to do is show you how to take all that training, audio, video, or otherwise, and download it onto a platform that you will put your name and logos on, so it looks like it's all your training, something you've created, and it's a great recruiting tool, because when people ask, what's my training, and you pull that thing up on the computer, man, is it impressive. Now, they're not only going to show you how to put it on there, make it look cool, they're going to show you how to divide it into small videos or small segments, 5 to 10 minutes long, because that's about what the attention span is today. And then after they show you how to do that, they're going to show you how to create a testing mechanism. So now you can test your people on your training. Imagine that. I mean, how many times have you shown your training to somebody or asked them to listen to it, and after they're done, you say, did you like it? What do they always say? Yes. You ask them, did you understand it? Yes. Do you think it'll work? Yes. And then what happens? Nothing. Nothing changes. Why? Because they weren't listening. They didn't get it. They don't understand it. But this way, you'll know that they watched it, because it records everything. You'll know how they tested, what they understand, what they don't understand, which was going to allow you to really focus your time on what it is your people need to know. It's a great training tool. You say, well, I don't have any training to put on something like that. Well, guess what? Lightspeed does. Every major trainer in the world is on this platform. And they even have niche trainers like real estate people, car people, furniture people, stock people, all kinds of people. Now you say, well, I'm not a business owner, I'm not a manager, and I'd like to get some trainings. Call Lightspeed VT. They will set you up with your own platform and show you how to get all the trainers in the world, all their training on your individual platform. How do you do all this? You call 702-369-4260. 702-369-4260. Tell them the Jeff Cowan from thejeffcowan.com, or simply from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk told you to call, and they're going to give you a big discount. All right, got two more closes. First one was the assumptive close. That's where you simply assume the customer is going to buy, and as we discussed, why wouldn't they want to buy if you've shown them what they asked for and what they truly need? Then we talked about the are you sure close, which makes them think about why they said no to you in the first place. So let's get to the third one, which is called the alternate choice close. And this is exactly what it sounds. It's where you're going to give your customers two different options. So this is best used on a service drive for things like batteries, where there's multiple options, many times for tires, sometimes for brakes. Anytime you have more than one option, this is a great close to use, because what you're going to do is you're going to give the customer different options and ask them to choose. Here's how it would sound. Mr. Customer, now I've explained to you what our full product lineup is and how it would best benefit you and why you should move forward on it. Really, all I need to know is, do you want the platinum package or the premium platinum package? You see, either way they answer that question, they've bought, okay? And what you've done by giving them those two options is telling them that this is really important, that no is really not an option, because you've given them two positive options. Mr. Customer, now I've explained to you what our product does and our full lineup and why it's a benefit to you. All I need to know is which way you want to go. Do you want to go with the premium package or the premium platinum package? Again, either way they answer, you made a sale. It's a great close, and this one will deliver well over 80% closing ratio. And it tells the customer that, again, no is not even an option. Okay, so alternate choice close, really good close. And I got one more close here that's very powerful on service drives, and it's called the initial here. Now, this one here is typically used as a second, third, sometimes a fourth close, and that's where you presented something to the customer and they've said no, you presented it again, they said no, and again, you said no. All right, Mr. Customer, I have no problem with you saying no and declining the service today, because after all, it is your vehicle and therefore your decision. If you decide you don't want to move forward, you don't want to move forward. But all I need you to do is initial here, here, and here. And what your initialing is stating that we've talked about each one of these services and or repairs, you fully understand it, and you've decided not to move forward on it, knowing what may happen if that happens. Now, any of you that have ever asked a customer to do that, what is it immediately they say? Why do I have to initial? Well, Mr. Customer, you have to initial because I have to be able to prove to everybody here that I've talked to you about this. Because if you were to drive out of here an hour from now and in the next hour, next day, next week, next month, come back and have one of these problems caused by you not doing one of these services, you could hold me liable. And you could hold my shop liable, my technicians liable, and I don't think that's fair to me and us. It's no big deal. If you don't want to do the services, you don't have to. I just need you to initial here again, stating that we talked about these, you understood what we were talking about, and that you're saying no. I mean, anybody that's ever used that close before, it's extremely powerful because it's telling the customer this is so serious that we want you to sign off on it, even if you say no. And many, many times, we're talking a closing ratio, again, well above 70% here, they will flip on that one and typically buy everything that you've asked them to initial beside. Now, let's assume for just a second that they don't buy on the spot. Call them within 48 hours and then tell them this. Mr. Customer, this is whoever, calling from wherever, and you'll remember I was the expertly trained service advisor that helped you with your vehicle the other day when it was in, and I just want to call and make sure that you are happy with everything that happened when you brought your vehicle in. Assuming it's yes, you follow with this. Well, that's great, Mr. Customer, because that's always my goal, is to make sure that you're always happy every time you come in. But when you're in, not only did we do those services, but I shared with you several other things that both me and my expertly trained technician felt was necessary for you to do on the vehicle. On that day, you said you wanted to think about it for a couple of days, and now that you've had a couple of days to think about it, I was wondering if I could go ahead and put you on the calendar to come back in and get those things taken care of. That close, that word track, will get at least 40% of those declined services back in if you use it within 48 hours. So I actually gave you 5 closes there. I feel generous today. You know, I got a big heart. I like you, and I want you to be the best you can be. That's why I'm doing these podcasts. That's why I want you to come back every Thursday at noon Eastern and or at 9 Pacific time. It's the same time, 9 Pacific time, a.m. in the morning. And I want you to listen to my Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, because I'm going to show you, me, Jeff Cowan, I'm going to give you everything I got, and I'm going to show you how to make 6 figures on any service drive in the United States of America. That's this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it because it's outstanding information that will work exactly right now, the first time you use it. So go use it, make more money, and enjoy the lifestyle that you're looking for, because that's what I'm trying to help you get. Jeff Cowan here. Make it a great week, because you know what you can bet on, you can count on, I can guarantee is going to happen. I'm going to make it a great week. And one more thing. I wanted to give a shout out to my mom. She just at 80 years old had a heart attack. Mom, I know you're listening to this. I know that you're getting better. I know you're going to have a full recovery. And I just want you to know that me, Candy, and everybody in the family loves you, and we want nothing more than you to have a speedy recovery. Anybody out there watching this want to say a prayer for my mom? I'd really like that. Until next week, make it a great one.